What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode, a rather late episode, of Skyrim Special Edition Mods Weekly. I typically post this on Sunday, but I just honestly had a lot of personal stuff going on, so I did delay the episode, and then I took a day off this Monday, mainly because it's January, and this is when things on YouTube definitely start to slow down. I have no intentions of slowing things down. If you want a bit of a look into the behind the scenes of things, come January, and really the first few months of the year, YouTubers will actually make about a little less than half as much money. So in December, let's say you made $100 a day, now you'll make more like $40 a day. So obviously that's a pretty massive hit. I still do plan to put out a ton of new content. I actually want to start a number of new series, but with all that being said, if you guys do want to support the channel now more than ever, you can do so by leaving a comment or a like. This is actually one of the best ways to promote videos under YouTube's new algorithm. But with all that being said, let's just jump right into it. So at first, we do have advanced adversary encounters. What this mod's going to be all about is really revamping and changing a lot of the enemies in Skyrim. It's meant to make enemies as a whole a little bit tougher and all around just make the game a bit more of a challenge, giving you new dynamics and ways of working around some of the different enemies. One of the big changes this mod brings is the way different enemies conduct their combat. So to read directly from the mod page, for example, witches will now summon Spurgans and use poisonous spells to their advantage. Thalmor will try to subdue their foes by the way of paralysis. Vampires will use hand-to-hand combat, etc, etc. So now a lot of these different enemies are going to attack you and fight you in a very specific way, and you'll know that going into a fight. On top of that, some of the different enemies are going to have different resistances, so certain weapons will be more effective against one enemy versus another. So that creates an environment where you could really sit down and think, okay, I'm going to go fight a bunch of vampires, how should I prepare accordingly? And you should have a pretty good idea as how they will fight back. All around, this really creates, again, a whole new dynamic in Skyrim. It's going to really enhance the combat, at least in my eyes. In my experience with this mod, it really just made the game a lot more fun to play because it was a bit more of a challenge, but on top of that, it was a challenge that was beatable. Planning carefully definitely yielded very good results, as well as you could just have a more fun time taking on tougher enemies. All around, it's one of those mods that does a few minor changes, but I feel like the results are seen much more widely throughout the game and definitely going to be worth a download. So up next, we have the Stormlord Armor. So this is actually going to be a new armor assigned to King Ulfric. It's very much inspired by some of the different Stormcloaks and really just the more wintry regions of Skyrim. The armor itself is extremely high quality. It does look very cool. Although Ulfric is going to be wearing one set, you can also get another set by buying one of the homes in Windhelm, and then you'll find it in the back there. I actually really like this mod for two reasons. One, the armor itself is pretty cool, and especially if you really get far in the quest line of the Stormcloaks, it's definitely going to be nice to put on this armor and kind of, feel a little bit accomplished and like you're representing your faction. Obviously, using just the Stormcloak guard uniform would get old pretty quickly. At the same time, it's nice to see the king using his own kind of separate new armor. Again, the armor itself is higher quality, pretty much on par with some of the other armors in Skyrim, although I really like a lot of the little details the armor does bring. All around, it's a very high quality and a very cool armor. In my eyes, definitely going to be worth a download. So next up, we have Get Up, Stand Up. This is basically going to be a faster stand-up animation. I'm actually using one of the videos from the mod author in the background because although I recorded one, his just looks and feels a lot better. What this mod's going to do is basically when you get knocked over or kind of downed for a second due to different explosions or some different larger enemies, actually a lot of mods add in functionality that do this. Well, typically it took a lot longer for you to get back up. You're kind of just stuck on the ground. You'd watch yourself like, all right, come on, get up, we're getting attacked. Well, this mod's going to make it so that process goes much more quickly. You're going to stand up much more quickly and get back into combat, and really in my eyes it takes out a lot of the frustration. Again, I've actually noticed a lot of different mods will add in this functionality more so than it's available in the vanilla game, but this is a great mod to download because when you are downed, even if it isn't that common, it's just going to save you a little bit of a headache and some frustration with the game. So next up, we have amazing follower tweaks. So first and foremost, I just want to say kind of a big shout out to both the original mod author and the person that did port this over. The original mod's by a dude named Doyster, who actually made all of his mods open source as long as you credit him. So fortunately, we were able to get this ported over by Ali1718, and she did go through the process of properly crediting him. But all around, it's just awesome to see this. She did port it over to PC and Xbox One so we could all use it, and this is just a great situation to be in. Regardless, what this mod's actually going to do is give you a bunch of different options and kind of just things you could do with your followers. Some of these are kind of typical, other ones are a little bit more unique. One of the options is you could actually kind of possess them as a vampire if you do have the appropriate perks and all that, and then you could actually control them in combat and have your character kind of be standing there doing other things. Even beyond that, you could have them dance for you, you could change their combat style, you could change when they'll attack enemies, when they'll give up, what kind of damage they'll use, if you want them to use 2 swords at once, a bow, if you only want them to use magic, etc, etc. It adds a lot of depth to a lot of different companions, and again gives you a ton of functionality that otherwise really wasn't there. It also also adds in the functionality for multiple followers. So if you were kind of looking for a mod to do that, this is probably going to be one of the better ones to download, simply because it adds so much more even beyond that. And a lot of these features are things you probably will use, but you don't have to. Almost all the functionality added by this mod is totally optional. If you don't want to use any of it, you don't have to. You could just go on and play Skyrim normally, but if you find a time where you're like, I really want Lydia to just run in and battle to the death rather than kind of running back and being weird, well, now you can do that. All around, again, it is a very high quality mod and definitely one of the must download mods of this past week. So last but certainly not least, we have Vilja in Skyrim. This is going to be a new follower mod, and a few times when I was talking about Inigo, I actually talked about how there was kind of 3 of the greatest follower mods for Skyrim that were really on a whole nother level from all the rest. Well, as you may have guessed, this is going to be one of those mods. This is going to be one of the highest quality follower mods, both in content and just in actual the character itself.
Hey, wait! I don't want you to kill anyone. I just want you to come with me and help me to get my bottle back before it causes any harm.
One thing I actually really liked about this mod that the mod author does specifically say is how it's a follower mod with a quest, not a quest with a follower. So what that means is you obviously do have this follower mod that you can totally take advantage of, but there also is a entire backstory behind her and a bunch of quests where you can get perks and romance and all that, but it's all optional. If you just want to be a normal follower that's custom voice, you can just have that and never pursue all the quests around her. Again, it is totally custom voice, so it does have, I think, over 9,000 lines of dialogue, which is pretty expansive. Definitely when you're using her, you don't get tired of hearing the same line over and over again, simply because she doesn't really say the same line all that often. All around, again, one of the highest quality follower mods for Skyrim, although I really think the voice acting does need kind of a revamp or something like that. It definitely sounds dated, although you do get used to it after using it for a little while, and it's really nice to actually have custom voicing and actually being able to hear all these unique lines. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this episode of Skyrim Special Edition Mods Weekly. Again, I do want to apologize to all of you for making this video a little bit later than usual. I know some of you guys look forward to and expect these videos on Sunday. Well, obviously it's not Sunday, it's Tuesday, as well as my mods of the year for Skyrim should be coming out tomorrow. I know I said that was coming out Monday, but day off, etc, whatever. If you guys did watch to this point in the video, let me know by commenting Finland down below. But as always, thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed as always, and I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.